So for my video project, I decided to go to the VIP nightclub in Riverside. The VIP is a gay nightclub that has a Wednesdays How About That drag show. Two reasons why I chose it is because, one, I do know people in the LGBT community, but I'm only around like one or two at the same time, and I've never really met someone who was full on drag. So going to see the show would give me a perspective of the community as a whole. The second reason why I chose it is because I identify myself as a bookworm, likes to stay home, read, doesn't like the idea of the nightlife, doesn't really like the idea of alcohol or any of that. So going to the nightclub would be a complete 180 twist in my point of views and my culture. So, yep, that's why I chose it. The experience for me was quite overwhelming, but mostly in a positive way. When it got time to getting ready, at first I didn't think much about it, but then I changed my mind because I was getting self-cautious for some reason, and I ended up with a black strapless short dress and blinged out white high heels. And when I came out of the room and my family saw me, and they're just like, I thought this was his homework assignment. You look really different, which shows how different this culture is from me because I'm a really conservative person. When we arrived at the VIP, I had a little freak out moment that after I got my bracelet, checked my ID, paid the fee, and walked into the club, I walked right back out. And there was only 10 people at that time inside the club. But then I told myself, you know what, just get it over with. You're just being silly. So I took a deep breath and walked back in, and I think that was the only time I actually freaked out. Afterwards, we went to go play pool while we waited for the show, and we started talking to the people playing pool next to us, and one of them even started playing with us, showing us how to play pool. Then we went to go get ready for the drag show. We sat down, and Madam Mayhem came up, and she introduced herself, gave out jokes, make sure everybody was comfortable. And Abel pointed out that some girls were staring back at me, and that was a little weird. When it came time to dancing, I didn't really dance, but I did dance in my seat. So technically, although I wasn't on the dance floor, I was dancing. So I tried contributing to that. How I felt. At the beginning, I felt really uncomfortable. I was excited when I was getting ready, but when we were actually on the way to the club, and when I walked into the club, I freaked out a little and I hesitated. Quite a lot. But I told myself, you know what, just adapt to the environment, learn from this experience, and I took a little bit of courage, walked back in, and I did not regret it. Every second of it, I loved it. The show was amazing. The people were just welcoming, the nicest people you can meet. The drag queens, they were just, oh my god, just filled with confidence, which made me feel like more confident too. Like I got off their vibe, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, the only other time I felt uncomfortable was when Abel pointed out a couple girls staring back at me, and when one girl actually came up to me, sat next to me, and started talking to me, and she started leaning so close to me, and I don't like that whole body contact feeling. Ugh, it was weird. As far as concepts go, culture shock is definitely the first one. From the second you walk in there and you see the dark place filled with DJ lights, loud music, dance moves, revealing clothes. The second one would be stereotypes. I pictured people with slutty clothes, very judgmental, very guarded, but that was a complete lie. Third would be identity. They do identify themselves as part of the LGBT community, but there's deeper levels, and although they fall into the LGBT, the way they go about it is different. Each person acts differently from everyone else, giving individual uniqueness. Fourth would be face and face work. I saw that at that moment, the people in drag wanted to be perceived as women. So the face work would be them changing their image by changing their clothes, the makeup, etc., becoming very convincing. And at the end of the night, when I saw them leaving, they were dressed as quote-unquote normal people, which comes to show that different locations brings about different faces. And lastly would be nonverbal communication.
And this is a major part, especially when it came to touch and distance. They were very touchy and usually at an intimate and personal distance, and that didn't seem to offend or bring anybody's guards up. There was a lot of eye contact and a lot of gestures as well. Okay, what I learned about myself is that when I know I'm going somewhere out of my norm, I imagine all these stereotypes to base what my experience will be like. As I get closer to a different culture, I become self-cautious, hesitant, and guarded. But the moment I say let's go and actually take the first step, I leave the idea of stereotyping at the door and just go through the night and let it all take in. I also learned that no matter how different cultures can be, they all share the same idea of community, and sometimes the thing that you find most uncomfortable actually end up giving you such a feeling of welcoming, safety, and belonging. I learned quite a lot from this experience. I noticed that there are different styles to a performance. For example, some were innocent, some were more R-rated, some were dramatic, and others were just pure dancing. I also learned that they have a drag king, which ended up being one of my many favorite performances. One thing I did learn was when they are dressed in drag, they do use the women's restroom. I found that quite interesting. Lastly, I learned that everyone in the club or the community was just so welcoming and unjudgmental. There was such a feeling in the environment of being comfortable and confident and safe that I really enjoyed.